So Tony Dimitriadis called up, and we were on the road, and he asked if I would induct Tom into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and I said, I'd love to. I love Tom. He's a good old friend. We've known each other since 1976, and I'll do anything for him. He's a great guy. I've toured with him a couple of times, back in '76, and again in 1987. I got to tell you a story. We were in Tampa, Florida, and my wife and I went to see Tom at an arena, and people were throwing frisbees, and one of them came down and hit my wife in the eye. And it wasn't serious, but the promoter thought somebody should take a look at it. So there was a doctor backstage, and we went backstage. And just as we were getting backstage, Tom and the Heartbreakers were getting off the bus and going to the dressing room. And Tom saw me in the hall and said, Roger McGuinn, you got to come up on stage and do a couple of songs. And this is Tampa, Florida. I was wearing white shorts and a red Hawaiian shirt. Looked more like I was going to a Jimmy Buffett concert, but I did it anyway. And the next day, Tom invited me out to the beach where he was staying with his kids. And we were all flying kites out on the beach. And he said, you know, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to tour Europe with Bob Dylan. I said, oh, man, you're going to have so much fun. Because I remembered the 1975 Rolling Thunder Review, and I was on that with Bob, and it was great. And Tom said, well, I'll ask Bob if he can come along. I said, okay. So the next day he called up and said, yeah, I talked to Bob. He said, bring him along. He can be the opening act. Well, the way it was structured was Tom and the Heartbreakers were the house band. So they backed me up on some bird songs, and then they did their set, and then they backed up Bob on his set. So it was one of the greatest tours, and that's when Tom and I wrote the song King of the Hill.